So yeah, here we are again talking about some stuff. I was watching the Evil Dead remake the other day, and at the very end of it, spoilers, the one person survives, and the question then becomes, what happens next? Okay, so she stopped apparently the apocalypse by killing this demon that was making it rain blood and shit, and she's there alone. Her hand's been taken off, and all of her friends and her family are dead.
So, yeah.
Now what?
Wanders off into the woods and becomes a mountain woman?
Wanders into some place and just like, I'm not me anymore, I'm someone else. Start a whole new life, just disappear to some third world country and never come back. But this is a question of what happens after the horror movie. I mean, we all feel good at the end, the monster's dead, the bad guy's been vanquished, the guy with the ghost face mask is dead. But then what? I mean, some movies go into it, like the Scream franchise, they actually go into the what happens next to an exhaustive degree.
Yeah, unfortunately, where, I've heard they might be making another Scream movie in the next couple of years.
Yeah. But not a remake.
Yeah.
At least with a remake, it would be something. Cut all that baggage off. I know there's movies like Saw that have sort of the similar thing. But even then, when you get to the last Saw movie, then what?
When you get to the last Saw movie, you've realized it's all within like a 48-hour period of time that you've been watching.
Yeah, it's been like 2 days, and then that's it.
It's like 8 movies, 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's a good point. This episode, let's just say, will have a lot of spoiler alerts. What's coming up?
But of course, we're not going to be spoiling anything that came out in the last, 3 months or so. So, it's really just your own fault if you didn't know this shit already.
Yeah. By the way, I heard in the Batman vs. Superman movie that's coming out soon, speaking of spoiler alerts, it says Batman's parents apparently die.
Shit, now I'm not even going to watch it.
Yeah.
There's no point now. I know the Waynes are dead. If I had not known that, I could have gone into that movie with the question of whether or not Batman's parents die. But now that I know, fuck it.
Yeah. This is breaking news yesterday. I saw that. It's no news day.
But horror movies. It's always a question of what next. I mean, some of them are pretty easy. Nightmare on Elm Street. The girl stops Freddy Krueger, presumably. Either that or she dies in her sleep. Because at the very, very end of the original, she stops Freddy because she doesn't believe in him. It's just a dream. And he disappears. And then she has that other dream where her mom gets pulled through the door and she gets in the convertible and it's got the Freddy shirt for the convertible top and it drives off. And they're like, ah! And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. So
she either died or she survived. I'm just assuming she survived because she was in the sequels.
Yeah. And the second one, the rumor was that she was in a mental institution. In the fourth or fifth one, whenever the actress popped up again, she was apparently a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really make that transition, from...
Or, what was that one? Was it House on Haunted Hill with the...
Or where they're stuck in the roof and
the whole building's on lockdown. There's no way to communicate with the outside world, and they're sitting on top of this skyscraper-sized sanitarium for reasons, but they're sitting on the top of it, looking out like, yay, we have the money the guy was going to give us, even though he's dead and the bank will probably not honor these checks that he wrote, because of the suspicious circumstances surrounding his death, of which we are the only survivors who happen to have a lot of money.
But it won't matter because there's a complete lockdown. Everything has metal grates over it. They can't get out.
And God only knows when or if anyone's coming to check on them.
Or what would happen if they got back into the building. Because, yeah.
The ghosts wanted revenge. They're still in there.
Yeah, the ghosts are still in there. They're just safe outside on the roof with no way down.
So yes, the ghosts are not going to kill them, but they'll probably die anyway. And if they don't die, if the authorities come in during the day when apparently the ghosts just don't feel like doing anything, they'll bring them down and be like, hey, explain all these dead bodies. And they'll be like, it was the ghosts. But look at all this money the guy left us before he died. At which point they're arrested and thrown in the loony bin.
Yeah, exactly.
it kind of takes away from the feel-good ending when you realize that most of the heroes in these movies wind up either in jail or in an insane asylum.
Yeah.
Just because of the experience they've been through.
Yeah, or the obscure 1980s movie The Wraith with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, that's not even really a horror movie, but it's still good. I mean, it's like I said before, it's Christine meets the Crow. You know, dude comes back from the dead and drives the special Turbo Interceptor, which is one of the cooler cars. We should do an episode about cool cars.
Yeah, cool movie cars. Yeah.
Movie and TV cars. But yeah, so basically, he's like on a rampage of terror in this fucking one-of-a-kind car. It's not even like he's driving a Volkswagen where you could be like, oh, that's one of 100 Volkswagens.
Yeah. This car's like completely jet black, designed completely different than anything around in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. And they never actually made more than like 2 of them for the entire movie production, but it was supposed to be like a follow-over deal.
Yeah.
So you have a better chance of buying a used DeLorean than you do a used Turbo Interceptor.
Yeah, and you'd be paying a lot less. And that's not saying much.
Actually, I don't know, man. I was actually looking for used DeLoreans, and there's actually a few places that still sell them. Someone has one with an automatic transmission for like 50 grand. I was tempted. If I had like won the lottery or something, I'd be like, give me a DeLorean.
I'd have to trick it out with the suicide doors if it doesn't already have those.
Well, you know, the gull wings, yeah. But yeah, the Wraith, man, he fucking spends the entire movie killing people in this car. He's a suspect in vehicular homicides and in numerous police chases.
Yeah, he's actually probably killed police officers. Remember when he drove through the thing and the car just exploded?
Yeah. They never really say because he's only supposed to be killing the bad guys, but you know, you could assume there was some collateral damage.
Exactly. But what does he do at the end of the movie? So his brother, who, you know, he basically gives the car to his brother before he goes back to the afterworld.
Yeah, he takes his girlfriend and fucks off back to the afterlife. And I guess the message being it's better to be dead than living without the person you love, maybe?
Maybe.
But who cares? I don't know. You know, he gives the keys to his brother and says, hey, take care of it. It's a really special car. And I'm just imagining, like, the next day, the brother goes out to the store to get groceries, and the cops pull him over, rip him out of the car, and beat him to death.
Yeah.
Because this car, it was a murder weapon.
Yeah, nobody saw the driver of this vehicle. Mind you, when Charlie Sheen was in, like, revenge mode, he was fully decked out in, like, this armor.
Yeah, it was like NASCAR gear, but all black, and kind of Borgish, because it had tubes and wires and shit.
Yeah. He had a gun that had, like, little, like, LED lights, like, that flash back and forth, kind of like the car from, you know, Knight Rider.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, though, the cops never saw that part. All they saw was the car hitting people, fleeing the scenes of the crime.
Yeah. So, I mean, granted, there's not a whole lot of grounds for a conviction in the actual evidence sense. But, you know, small-town cops in that situation, I'm pretty sure they just pulled him out of the car, beat him a lot, and then shot him in the face just to make sure they didn't get killed, too.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but he did have a motive, because, I mean, they killed his brother.
Yeah, I mean, the suspect pool are all people that they were questioning in regards to his brother's death, that they couldn't make anything stick. So, all of a sudden, there's a vigilante in a fast car, and everyone's like, gee, I wonder who that could be.
He just happened to be,
either dead or arrested.
Yeah. I like to think he's sitting there rotting in jail as we speak right now, cursing his brother's name.
Yeah. While the Turbo Interceptor sits in an impound yard.
Yep. Never to be used again. Or maybe to be studied by science if it still had that engine, you know, that...
Yeah.
It was like a free-floating engine that was just kind of rocking back and forth with these, like, lights going through it.
It looked so angry.
Yeah.
It was like they opened up the hood at one point, which it was actually in the back, if I recall. Because back engine's like the thing for 5 minutes. They open that up, and the engine's like got electricity coming off of it, and it's bouncing back and forth like a bright ass blue light. It looks like the effect they used for when they open the suitcase in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
it's just glowing light.
Still never made sense. Diamonds. Why would diamonds glow gold?
And maybe it was his soul. That's another theory. We can talk about fan theories another day. Because honestly, there's so many of them. I'm a Doctor Who fan, and fan theories to me, it's like getting kicked in the teeth with a boot. I mean, I'll get into that later, but every time somebody says, "Oh, this is what happened because of this and this," and everyone's like, "Oh my god, head cannon," and I'm like, "Put your fucking head in the cannon and fire. Save us all some trouble." Anyway.
Okay, ramifications. How about this? This one's also not a horror movie, but Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
That one was actually tied up pretty cut and dry. They caught the bad guy.
Well, they caught the bad guy, but this left a really big implication that toons are capable of killing people.
True, but, that's kind of the... Yeah, okay, fine, they're capable of killing people if they want to, or if they maybe need to. But, I don't know, I think as far as what we're talking about here, it's not like Eddie Valiant is, like, rotting in an insane asylum somewhere because, he's the only one who saw Judge Doom, so he's the only one who could corroborate the story. There was actual witnesses. And, I still think it's a kind of a scary thought because there's a lot of horrible things in that world that are never really touched on. But, we could probably talk about that some other time, too.
Yeah, that's a whole thing all in itself. But, I mean, like, what does this do between the trust with humans and toons?
Well, he stopped the evil toon. He saved them from being wiped off the earth. I mean, everybody's happy.
Yes, but then again, we had terrorists that blew up the World Trade Center. Sure, those terrorists were dead, but that doesn't necessarily mean that,
It's like one day Yosemite Sam gets really angry and realizes that he can kill someone if he wanted to.
he goes over to like a Kmart and buys like an actual shotgun rather than the toon ones.
Goes to his local Walmart and picks up a shotgun and a ass load of shells and just starts plugging people on his way to Toontown.
Because if you think about it, the only thing that can really kill toons is like paint thinner.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much the idea. Was like the dip was basically glorified over chemical paint thinner.
Yeah, but think about this, right? You've got these unstable characters. I mean, I don't care. Even if they're not fucking murderers, they're all unstable. I don't care.
Yeah.
These completely unstable characters that are, nigh invincible for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Except for one particular chemical compound that apparently only one person knows how to make, and that person is now dead.
Exactly. So I'm either seeing they're going to be militarized somehow at some point in the future, or there's going to be a lot of mistrust and they're just going to board up the Toontown.
I just thought like the most horrible sequel for Roger Rabbit would be if all of a sudden they introduced anime characters. Because the whole thing of Roger Rabbit really stems off of the American Looney Tunes Disney. It's just Warner Brothers and Disney. Their characters exist in real life and they live in Toontown. There's probably a Japanese Toontown somewhere where people are not allowed to go.
Yeah, or maybe there is no Japan anymore because the characters from the Guyver got out.
Yeah. Or the Gundams got loose, or some shit like that. It's just like, even if you go back to old school anime like Astro Boy, even that, I mean, there were some monsters. And Voltron.
Yeah.
The giant monsters rampaging across Japan. Nobody talks about it, because we're not going to say anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Japan has a strangely specific formula for things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's see, what else we got, really? Because, I mean, almost any movie has, pretty horrible implications if it's, like, especially if it's a horror movie.
Yeah, horror, thriller movies, those kind of things are just rife with... But most part in the thriller movies, things tend to get wrapped up. Like, that movie where Sandra Bullock got her identity stolen by those hackers. They fixed everything by the end, and they pretty much show you that it's all fixed.
Yeah. What about Leprechaun? Anytime there's been a Leprechaun movie...
Sorry, every time somebody mentions leprechauns, I get this funny taste in my mouth. It tastes like failure.
Yeah, especially the new one. Anyway, though, I'm not going to include the new one because we're not going into movies that have come out within the past 3 months. And the new Leprechaun movie actually came out in October.
Made by the WWE, so...
Yeah.
Just don't watch it.
And supposedly it had Hornswoggle in it. I guess he was wearing the rubber leprechaun suit that...
He may have been in the background of a few scenes.
Yeah, because the leprechauns in this movie, even though I double checked just to make sure, but yeah, they considered this a reboot of the Leprechaun series. The leprechauns were kind of like those creatures from Feast looking.
Or maybe Troll.
Not
Probably
really.
not that good quality.
Yeah, no, they kind of reminded me of aliens. I mean, they had eyes and they had like kind of cavemanish little like things. Yeah, and they had like super long monkey arms. They had.
Weird.
Anyway, though, that's one thing is that sure they beat the leprechaun in every movie, but then what? There's like a trail of dead bodies, you know.
Yeah, I think the best example of now what is probably the transition from Alien to Aliens. It's like, okay, she freezes herself in the cryotube. Everyone else is dead except her. There's no one to corroborate her story. The ship's been destroyed, and the only evidence they have are some limited sensor readings. You know what? The sensors could have told the whole story, but the people at the company didn't want to, just come out and say, horrible alien that we sent you to get killed everybody, our bad. So instead, they blame it all on her. All of a sudden, they're questioning her. Why is everybody dead? Why is the ship blown up? So she loses her job. She winds up, living in some crap-ass apartment like 50 years after she was supposed to get home. And it's just like, damn, that's horrible.
Yeah, but you know what always still works out in the end is the stupid double standards in the Friday the 13th movies. Because, I mean, occasionally they kill Jason long enough where, they find a body of his and then he escapes from the morgue or whatever.
Yeah.
But otherwise, there's just like a single chick that's left behind and a bunch of dead bodies around her and all she's rambling about is a crazy zombie who can't be stopped.
I mean, at least in the first Friday the 13th, there was a dead body. Where she could say, hey, this crazy old lady killed my friends, and I barely escaped with my life. I got into this boat. Why did she get in the boat again? Did she fall in the boat?
No, she got in there and just pushed herself off and was just floating and...
So, if I didn't kill her this time, she's not going to swim out for me, so fuck it. She just kicks off and it's like...
Except they apparently must have either never found the entire body or never found the head, because if you see...
everything else.
Yeah, like part 2, Jason's like keeping her head.
Yeah. Or maybe he stole it back.
Yeah?
Either way, it's just one of those things where it's like, there's one young woman who's alive but hysterical, and a whole bunch of dead people, including an old middle-aged lady, and she's like, oh, it was the old lady. She killed everybody.
It's like, it's the puppy defense. Like, the puppy did it.
Dog ate my homework and killed all my friends.
Man, that never works, I can tell you from experience.
They never listen in the courts these days.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the stupid double standard, because, teenage girls, they always believe in these movies. Like, they never question these chicks.
Or at least you would assume they don't. It's not like they really go into a lot of detail about mentioning what happened to her after that.
Well, they had follow-ups twice in the following movies. They usually get killed within the first 5 minutes. I remember the one chick who was like back at her apartment or whatever, having flashbacks from like part 3.
It's like, oh, it was so horrible. Thank God I'm safe.
She goes to take a shower and then gets decapitated.
'Cause reasons. Reasons, that's all. How long have we been on this?
19 minutes.
Yeah, well, we still got some more time. But, I was just thinking about some of the other stuff. Horror movies are a good example. Romantic comedies, they just kind of tie everything up with a nice, neat bow.
Yeah, it said it once in like a quote from a movie, like what happens after the romantic comedy ends, and that's what makes the porno?
Yeah, pretty much. That's where the porno comes from. Once romantic comedy's over, then you get into the gratuitous sex and porn.
And they break up. Because one of the worst things. I love the movie Splash. Do you remember the movie Splash?
Yeah, The Mermaid.
Yeah, with Tom Hanks. I think it was Tom Hanks, wasn't it? Yeah. They made the sequel to Splash, where they get tired of each other. They get bored of each other, basically. So they come back up to the surface, and stuff happens. Yeah. It totally, destroyed like the first movie, honestly, as far as like the whole love story.
We were so in love and everything was going so well, and then we hated each other because we met and fell in love in a week.
Yeah.
And that's not really a way to do any kind of relationship.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's realism, yeah. You're not gonna...
It's like people keep applauding Frozen because, it shows that the first prince you fall in love with isn't the good guy after all. And it's like, okay, yeah, they're finally admitting that life happens. Yeah, he was a dick. But that's hardly revolutionary.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the porno parody of Frozen. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. There's a porno parody of everything else.
I can only imagine what that one would probably be called.
Do you want to fuck a snowman?
That'd be one of the musical numbers.
Doesn't have to be a snowman. Could be a snow woman. With that sexy Olaf costume. That's pretty funny. But yeah, the horror movie thing. What about Predator 2?
Oh yeah, Danny Glover's Left
Behind.
Behind.
God. That was like... He's being investigated by the feds. Well, maybe they're feds, maybe they're just somebody else. But their government tied, and he's just fucked up their entire operation. And gotten most of his team killed. There's damage, property damage in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Dead bodies everywhere. He's the only one who survived. Okay, Internal Affairs is going to rip him a new asshole. Then he's probably going to get fired. Probably lose his pension.
Yeah.
And he'll wind up as that one detective guy in Saw.
Exactly. Within a 24-hour period of time, he'll survive like 8 movies.
But I mean, like, at least in Predator, it was all military, and Arnold was the only one left. And he's too big and scary for anyone to ask him any questions.
Yeah, plus it was war. They don't really expect those guys to come back.
Yeah, it was like, you're all expendable anyway. It's like, well, I didn't die, so I guess I win.
Yeah, and this is one of those circumstances where they don't want to admit aliens exist, so there has to be a fall guy.
Yeah. So if anything, they're probably going to blame all this on Carl Weathers, who died in the jungle after sending him on this mission. So he'll take the fall for it after he's dead. And Arnold just goes on with his life. Until he, gets called back to fight his team in Commando.
Yep, but Danny Glover is completely expendable.
Oh, yeah, Danny Glover's fucked. I mean, there's nothing left for him after this. If anything, he's going to wind up selling that antique flintlock pistol for a fair bit of money and then just going to the suburbs. Because fuck the city.
Yeah, exactly. If he's not thrown into jail for being pinned with the murder of the mob bosses.
Yeah. I mean, he's a cop, so maybe justifiable homicide, but at the same time... There's a lot of shit that went down where they're going to be like, a finger has to be pointed, and you're the only one left.
Yeah, it's like, who are going to blame? Aliens?
I mean, they might be able to pin like half of it on Gary Busey, who's cut in half in the warehouse, but there's going to be a lot of unanswered questions, and Danny Glover is going to be required to answer, and probably won't be able to.
Yeah. But speaking of Predator... you've seen Predators, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How about the end of that movie?
There's not even a what now after that. It's like, okay, so we're stranded on the alien planet. We blew up the ship. Well, the alien blew up the ship, so now we can't get off. And we just have to kind of wait. And, oh, wait, there's more things coming down. Like
which means there's more aliens. There's more Predators.
There's more predators, there's more people, there's more chances for us to get technology. They're ultimately just going to wind up like Lawrence Fishburne's character.
Yeah, which was pretty awesome. I dig the whole, he was using the alien technology to do the stealth thing.
His fucking predator mask and samurai helmet. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. If you ever watch on the DVD, they have like little like motion comic-y kind of things. That goes into the backstory of some of those. Like, it has Lawrence Fishburne when he comes across the samurai, which doesn't make much sense, honestly.
Unless the Predators have perfected time travel. Not that I'm saying they couldn't have, because it would make for more interesting hunting if you could go to find species that may not exist, after you've hunted them to extinction.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely make sense. And I mean, on top of that, if you think about it, the predator technology doesn't really vary very much.
I don't know about the hunting to extinction thing, though, because now that I'm thinking about it, they're
they
actually
wouldn't-
very conscientious hunters.
Yeah, they won't kill a woman who's pregnant, which is
Yeah.
a pretty good, that's
I mean, even humans will actually kill pregnant animals if they think they can get good money for fur, or they just want something to hang on the wall.
yeah.
It's like, hey, they're pregnant, they don't run as fast.
There's an idea, predator poachers.
It's like dishonored predators that just hunt whatever with no sense of honor or, their particular hunter's code.
Yeah, that'd make for an interesting story, I think.
Yeah, except they'd have to have a predator fighting them. And the one thing about movies that feature aliens in any context is, for some reason, we have to keep putting the human element into it to make them relatable.
Yeah.
It's like Alien versus Predator should not have had a single person in it. It should have just been a subtitled Predator movie, which would have gotten a little irritating.
Yeah, probably would have gotten a little irritating, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing why Hollywood remakes, foreign movies for American audiences.
Because, well, money, for one, and yeah, nobody likes subtitles.
Yeah. And they feel that people want to see Americans in movies. It's kind of the same thing with, like, aliens. They want to see humans in movies.
Yeah. Except Jean-Claude Van Damme. Nobody wants to see him in a Predator costume.
No. But if you do, you can find it online.
Yeah. Looks kind of ridiculous. But that's not his fault. That's just, the nature of the thing.
But not the actual thing, because the thing was pretty awesome.
Which is another good question.
That's what I was going to bring up. The ending of the remake of The Thing. So, ignore the comics, because, yeah, there's an entire comic series after that supposedly took place after the movie.
It's good that we can assume that our audience actually has read the comics.
Yeah.
Because who else would be listening to us talk about this shit?
Yeah. Except for Dan.
It's true.
And maybe Cheryl.
Talking about our microphones.
My neighbor. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, if you look at, like, Creedy at the end of the, who's the other guy, Fairchild?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just sitting there basically waiting to freeze to death.
It was like, you just cut to the next scene, it's them doing the Jack Nicholson sitting in the snowbank, like...
So either one of two things were going to happen immediately following when that movie ended. One of them was going to turn all, like, alien-like and absorb the other one. Or they were both human and they're just...
waiting to die.
Waiting to die. Now, just assuming if you've ever seen the remake of the remake of The Thing.
Remakeception.
Yeah. It really kind of doesn't seem like the alien has much forethought. So, I mean, there's a scene where he's on a helicopter, and they're going to be taking him back to civilization, which is what he wanted. Why 2 feet off the ground does he all of a sudden start freaking out and growing tentacles and absorbing everybody in the helicopter?
That does seem to lack a certain level of appropriate planning.
Yeah, because he was getting away. They didn't even know, that these alien species existed yet at that point. So, yeah, I'm assuming that they're both human at the end of The Thing. And that they both died horribly.
But I think that was the point of the ending, was the whole, but what if one of them's not human? It's profound.
It's profound, but, I mean, if you kind of pay attention to the behavior of the actual alien species, you figure they're both human.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, what would have really stopped the one alien from absorbing the last human and then just waiting patiently to freeze over until they're found by the rescue crew who shows up 2 weeks later?
Yeah. And then the rescue crew takes the body away, it thaws out, and then, aliens everywhere.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's just one of the things. I mean, no one really thinks that far ahead because, I don't think anyone really wants to.
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing to remember. No one really wants to think that far ahead. They just want to believe that the hero saved the day. And it's like, if you saw Evil Dead, at the very end, he gets hit by the evil that comes out of the forest after he burns the book. And then it's like, that's it. He got possessed or killed.
Yeah.
But then what? Evil Dead 2.
which ignores the first Evil Dead.
Kinda, sorta. It's like the first known instance of a remake sequel.
Yeah.
It's like, we want people to know what happened in Evil Dead, but we don't want to dwell on it too much. So let's take the first 10 minutes, condense all the important points, like guy and girlfriend dies, comes back, kind of not, it's like, okay, shit, that's the first 10 minutes. He gets hit by the thing, possessed, oh no, sunlight, and then we kick into the new movie.
Yeah. Which kind of makes you wonder one thing, too. So, ignoring anything other than the original Evil Dead, so Ash gets possessed. I mean, then what? He's alone, he's not going to kill anyone, and if he goes into sunlight, he will burst into flames. Like, why would it even bother...
Yeah, or he just wouldn't be possessed anymore.
Yeah. I mean, kind of depending on,
I mean, he'd have to, hide out in the woods until nightfall, and then try and run as far as he can before the sun comes back up, and he has to, hide under a log.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have, in theory, gone out and infected more people or, something like that. Maybe.
Yeah, depending. I mean, obviously, burning the book didn't stop the evil like he thought it would, even though it did technically kill everything else.
Yeah. Which was another funny thing about the remake. Where it was like, you see the guy sitting there with the trash can and the book's on fire, and he's like, I thought this would end it. I mean, it's a pretty stupid idea. But I thought this would end it. But the book doesn't burn. It's like, damn it. Way to jump all over our ending.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, I mean, realistically, not that you can really put any of this context into realism, let's just say you start, I don't know, a remote-controlled car, right? And as soon as you hit the start button, it just goes. It's not like one of those ones you have to hold the button down on, right? And you destroy the remote. Well, all of a sudden, the vehicle stop and explode in the flames.
But that's a little too much realistic context. I mean, come on. As much as we're going to enjoy destroying Sam Raimi in one of our future episodes, well, I'm going to enjoy it. You're probably going to go along with it, but not enjoy as much as I am. But yeah, he's got a lot of stuff to answer for. But, it's a certain degree of suspension of disbelief that you get every time you walk into a movie.
Magical Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm assuming. The book has magical Wi-Fi.
Exactly. Hellfi.
That's right. You destroy the book and the Lamia comes out and starts making the dude dance on the table. We'll save that one, though.
Really, Sam? Back to basics, right? Asshole. Anyway.
I got a button for you.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Daddy?
Fuck, he didn't like it either. Yeah.
That's right. You tell him.
Which actually, Drag Me to Hell was another one that was kind of a what now thing. Because, I mean, you get at the very end, the guy and the girl are together, and she's like, oh shit, I didn't give the button away. I'm going to hell, and she gets dragged under, and he's like holding her hand and trying to stop it, and then she just gets sucked down, and he's like, what the hell is he going to tell her family?
Yeah.
Or her coworkers when they come looking for her, Someone's like, hey, what happened to what's her name? And he's like, she went to Paris.
Forever.
She didn't call me. She broke up with me and went to New Hampshire. For reasons.
Like, she went down under, like Australia. Yes.
She went to the deep south. And little Nicky. That movie at least got a good wrap up, and there wasn't a whole lot of unanswered questions at the end of that.
Yeah.
There was another one that just popped into my head for a second. No, there was one. Somewhere along the lines of Evil Dead, it was like, oh my god, there's one person left and everyone else is dead. What's that one movie that was just at the end? Oh, Sleepwalkers. That's what I was thinking of. Because at the very end, the cops are like, let's raid the place and take the whole place down because these guys are murderers and we have proof. So they send in the cops, and the cops pretty much get killed by, sexy hot Catwoman. She kills them all, but then the cats show up and kill her and her son, and at the end it's just the one girl sitting in the police car holding the cat, just like, in shock, and it's like, what the fuck then? All
Yeah,
the cops are dead.
Yeah.
So it's not like anyone's coming looking.
Yeah. Until, another police station in another town or something notices that they're not checking in or not communicating or something.
Or, like the pharmacist who happens to be friends with one of the deputies is like, hey, Opie didn't come in today. He's supposed to pick up his pain medication. I wonder where he's at. And then they look in the police station, which is empty, and it's like, where'd everybody go?
Like, they're all dead, except for this chick with a cat who's saying that cat people killed them.
Yeah, it's like, the cats just came in out of nowhere and murdered these people. Like, okay, forensic examines the body. Yes, they were bitten and scratched by cats. It doesn't make any sense, but apparently that's what killed them. The cops were killed by a circus strongman, because they obviously wasn't killed by this, 40-something-year-old woman who looks like she could barely lift a bag of rice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just one of those movies that's like, huh? Stephen King.
Yeah, Stephen King. There's one right there, Stephen King movie adaptations.
I mean, but for the most part, a lot of those do kind of get tied up at the end. The Langoliers and all that shit, and yeah, sure, it was crazy stupid, but, they got back to their right time, and everything worked out. But then, of course, there are still questions there, because their plane just appears out of nowhere on the runway, probably causes at least one crash, if not a pileup.
Yeah, hopefully not double lapping over another plane that's already...
It's like, their plane appears just as another plane is coming down the runway, and boom...
Or what happens if there's a plane already there and that one just appears in the middle of it?
Ouch.
Yeah.
And then, of course, everyone's like, hey, what happened to the rest of the people on your flight? And it's like...
well, they stopped existing and then some of the others were eaten by, mouths. Ball mouths.
Giant angry meatballs with chainsaw teeth ate them.
They were bad CGI.
Yeah.
Alright, so I think that's pretty good for now.
I think we've beaten this horse pretty much into the ground at this point. I mean, I'm sure there's many more that you guys could think of that we might come up with later.
Yep, so there's your assignment for this one here. Leave a comment down below. All, two or three people who are going to watch this episode. Let us know what your favorite twist endings are in movies. How about movies that are unresolved and what you think happened at the end?
Yeah, or, just tell us what you think happened at the end of some of these, because I'm sure you could think of more than we could in this little space of time. Since we're not really scripting anything anymore, we miss a lot of stuff.
Yep. Alright, well, thanks for watching another episode of Not Blade Clan Health and Fitness.
We just talk about shit.
Yeah.
Whoop whoop.